Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever it may be. We're back with part 3 here on Leading Our Own Way with Liam Kilpatrick from the Shared Mind podcast. Well, today we're getting into the juicy stuff. The relationship between money and happiness. Ever wondered if what the next pay rise will finally make, if it will make you happy? Well, Liam's got some thoughts that might just change your perspective. We're talking about finding purpose on the paycheck and why sometimes the best investment isn't in your bank account. It's in yourself. Anyway, here's Liam, here's myself on Leading Our Own Way here on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to his podcast. It's incredible. They're doing amazing things. Let's go. So take us then to the relationship. You mentioned at the beginning of it, this was quite, when we had the pre-chat, I felt this was fascinating as well. Talk to us a little bit about the relationship that was in 10 years and your mindset and your mental health during that time.
Yeah, so we got together at 16. 16. We would be on and off until about 19.
Yeah.
When I got to 17, I had a good friend that looked exactly like me and I'd use his fake ID. So I would go out to nightclubs and so would she. And we were well known in Canberra for the couple that would break up on a Thursday night and get back together Sunday. Like, do you remember on Facebook when you used to become friends with somebody and it would tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single Sunday night, we'd become friends again. And every week it would get more and more likes, more and more comments. And everyone knew that me and her would get back together.
Like a show.
Yeah, like a show. Literally. It was like Ross and Rachel, but it was times 1,000. I reckon we probably broke up 100 times in 2 years. But unfortunately, when we used to break up and we were at the 17 to 18-year-old age, we did go and do things to each other. Like we did cheat on each other quite frequently. And did things to each other that we really shouldn't have. And like I reflect back now and there's some things I did that I feel guilty to this day for, and she forgave me for them. But I think that's what really triggered my OCD later on. And that's why I say it. But yeah, around the 17, 18-year-old, it was a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of mucking up on each other. And so we ended up getting back together at 19, I think it was. And I still remember this night to this day. We got back together at about 19, and about a week after we got back together, I went out on a night out. It was like a Saturday night. I was really, really drunk because I used to party so much. And I remember waking up on the Sunday. I was fine. No OCD obsessions, no freaking out, no thoughts. And it got to that night, and I jumped on Fortnite with my mates that I went out with the night previous. And one of them said to me, "Who was that girl you were talking to last night?" And I thought, I don't remember speaking to a girl. And he goes, "Well, you were." And I was like, "Did I do anything with her?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, okay, cool. That is all my brain needed. For that night, I tried to go to sleep. I could not sleep at all. I was having a panic attack. I could feel my sweat. I'd worried that I cheated. I was like, if I can't remember speaking to this girl, I could have kissed her. Like I could have done anything and I'm not going to remember. So I'm laying in bed and I'm like, I think I've cheated. No, I've definitely cheated. I have cheated. No. So she fell asleep at like 9 o'clock. So it's about 2 a.m. at this point. I'm in hot sweats. I'm smoking at the time. I'm in and out having cigarettes. I'm having just a full-blown panic attack. I can feel my heart in my chest. I didn't want to break up again. I was like, I thought we were going to be forever this time. I've gone and stuffed it up again. So I woke her up at about 2 or 3 a.m. and I admitted to her that a girl tried to kiss me with no proof. I just convinced myself that I think she might have tried to kiss me. So I thought if I admitted that to her, that it would make me feel better, which it did for about 10 seconds. She goes, "Did you kiss her back?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Well, what are you worried about?" I was like, okay. So I ended up just going, okay. And then I didn't sleep that night. And then I obsessed over that for months and months. I would go on the nightclub Facebook page and look to see if there were photos of me in the background of any photos and cheated on her. So there would be 200 photos of the night. I would look in the background and see if I cheated. And I'd be like, am I in the background there? Oh, there's a guy talking to a girl there. Is that me? Is that me that did it? And that went on for ages. So I decided to not drink. I didn't drink for 12 months. And then went out a couple of times, thought that I cheated again. So I was like, I'm not drinking again. Fast forward, I'm dealing with this. I got into real estate and there was one. This is the turning point in my entire life. This was the worst obsession of my life. I was having a really bad day at work. Me and my ex at the time weren't doing really well. My mental health was really bad. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And me and this girl at work, she said, do you want to go for a walk around the block? Like, are you okay? Like, do you want to get something off your chest? And I was like, oh, whatever, quickly. So me and this girl go for a walk around this block that's probably 150 meters. The total walk went for about 35 seconds. I didn't want to go on the walk. We didn't stop once, but throughout the walk, I went, imagine if she kissed me right now. Does she want to kiss me? No, she doesn't want to kiss me. That was weird. Anyway, move on. So after our walk, we finish up. About 3 hours later, I was like, why did I have that thought about kissing her while we're on that walk? And I'm like, did we kiss? Did we kiss? No, we didn't kiss. So anyway, fast forward to that night. I'm obsessing on this thing. I'm having a panic attack going, did we kiss? I couldn't figure it out. And that kicked off a 9-month-long obsession. For 9 months, 55 seconds of every minute of every day, I was trying to figure out if I kissed this girl or not.
On the walk?
On the walk, the 30-second walk. This is the girl in real estate, fast forward about when I'm 21.
Yeah, wow.
So my first couple of months in real estate. And 9 months, I got stuck in that obsession. It got to a point where halfway through that, I didn't eat or sleep for 4 or 5 days. I was a mess. I had a beard, my hair was long, my eyes were baggy. I still have a video of it to this day. And I was just stuck in this obsession. I couldn't get out. I was so deep at that point too. It was my life. And I was very paranoid at that point, thinking that it did happen. And I would construct conversations, and every conversation I was trying to manipulate it to try and figure out whether or not me and this girl kissed. And I just became paranoid, delusional. And yeah, that took 9 months to get on top of. And then, yeah, I finally got on top of it by asking her if we had kissed after 9 months. And she looked at me and she said, why would we do that? We would never do that. And I was like, okay, thank God. So I imagine 9 months of anxiety lifted off my shoulders. 10 minutes later, my OCD said to me, yeah, but what if she was lying to you? Bang, back stuck in it.
Oh, what?
Straight away, within 10 minutes, back into the hole again.
Oh, my God.
And that was only the start of it. That was the start. And it just went downhill from there.
So hold on then, before we move on to the next. I was thinking about my question leading on from that, and I was going to say, did you ever think about asking her that question and how she might respond? But wow, you went there. One, took you 9 months to do it. That's quite a long time. But what was her reaction like? I mean, I know you've given us the answer, but did your relationship go weird after that? Because if somebody after 9 months had gone and asked me about a 30-second walk ago from 9 months ago, I'd be thinking, wow, right? Was your relationship off after that? Did she think?
I would love to get her on the podcast, honestly, and just ask her, because I've had no contact with her since she quit a few months after I got over that obsession. It went really. Me and her were close. She was a cool chick. We were good friends. She was married, and then went through a divorce around the time that I thought I kissed her, and she ended up just becoming a party girl. And I didn't know if she was. I was like, oh, she's single now, so maybe she would have kissed me. But yeah, our relationship just turned sour, and she didn't even know why. I just built this resentment towards her. I hated her as if I'd already done it. She'd ruined my life. And she obviously didn't do anything, but in my head she did. So I just, like I said, manipulated every single conversation. Every conversation I was like, would turn it into that walk. And I don't know what she would have thought. I don't know what she was thinking. She would have thought, this guy is weird. He's coming back to a walk we went on 6 months ago. And I would never ask her directly. I'd just be like, remember we went on that walk and we talked about this? Because she said to me at one point, oh, you're engaged. You need to go out and have more fun. And I was like, when you told me you're engaged, you knew I was engaged. Hey, so yeah, and then she was like, yeah, I know you're engaged. And I'm like, okay, so maybe we didn't kiss because she knew I was engaged. And then I'd be like, have you ever, because I think at that point she was dating a guy, and I was like, did you ever cheat on that guy with anyone you worked with? Just asking questions like that were really manipulative and weird. Yeah. And if I didn't ask those questions, I would go home that night and cry. And I felt like if I didn't ask her these questions, then I couldn't get over it. So I just kept asking. It was every day, man, for months and months. I don't know what she would have thought about those questions, those conversations. And I'd love to get her on and chat to her. It would be weird.
Okay, then. Well, in that moment, then, if you could say, let's say she's here with us and she was watching, what would you say to her now?
Part of me would have want to apologize, but then not, because I didn't really know what I was going through. But I would love to explain to her in depth what I was going through and say, this is what I was. I did at one point kind of tell her what it was, but she never really knew the full extent. So I would really love to just sit down and explain to her what I was going through and what it was. That would definitely be something that I'd want to do. But this is why I love bringing awareness to it now, because the amount of people I tell, when I used to tell people what I was going through when I was in the thick of it, they would look at me like, what the hell? But now when I can explain it to them, they look at me with a whole new set of eyes. And I would love to be able to say that to her, and then maybe she wouldn't have this weird opinion on me. She might not have a weird opinion, but I think she would.
How would you explain it to them?
I would just explain OCD. I'd explain what it is. I'd explain the circumstances and why I thought that way and what led to that. And I would really want to explain to her what OCD was, but maybe explain the thought that I had and how I can link it together. And whenever I explain it to people, they can somewhat determine and figure out for themselves how I got to where I was at. And I think if I just explained it to her and my thought process, she would understand. She wouldn't understand properly, but she would understand why I thought that.
Yeah. I think you should get her on the podcast.
It would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have you shared your journey on your own podcast yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In depth. Yeah. Pretty much everything we just said. There's a lot of other obsessions and stuff I got stuck on that I remember when I talk on that. But yeah, she might have heard it. I don't know.
Well, yeah. And I think it'd be amazing to get her on, because I think that would be a nice triangle effect of you, her, and that moment, right? That triangle.
It'd be weird, actually. I've thought about it once before, but now thinking about it now, I'm like, that could actually be a great episode.
It'd be a fantastic episode.
Yeah, I like it.
Absolutely would be. I've got another guest who was bullied in the workplace, and the ending, it'll already be aired by this time you come out. It's not aired yet, as I'm in the present moment, but she's actually, she got bullied, and she's now friends with her bully.
Wow.
And I think it would be fascinating to have the three of them on the podcast.
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
So that's why I think you should definitely get her on the podcast. So if I'm some inspiration for you to get her on, let's go.
There you go.
What were some of the other obsessions then outside of the ones you've already explained?
So with that one, it then eventuated into sober life. So every single woman I walked past or had a conversation with, I convinced myself that I kissed them or touched them inappropriately or said something wrong. It even got really vulgar in the toilets. Like when I was I couldn't go to the bathroom in public because I'd be convinced that there was a woman in the toilet with me. So I started going through a paranoid delusion. There was one obsession I got stuck on after the kissing one with my ex, where I went out one night and there was a homeless crackhead that was following a mate when we were about 18. And he was following my mate, and he ended up assaulting him. And he called us and he goes, "There's a crackhead trying to fight me. Please help me." So we ran and we were pushing this guy, and we're like, "Get off!" And he just was off his head and he was throwing punches, and we just pushed him to the ground. And I remember he hit his head pretty hard, and I remember I can hear it in my head still. He got up and he was fine and he walked away, but I convinced myself that I killed him, and I ended up getting stuck on that for about 2 months. I was like, I've killed this guy. So I ended up going on Facebook onto ACT policing and went back to like 2018 or whatever the year was, and tried to see if there was any articles and see if that they were looking for anyone that had killed someone on a night out in the city. That was one. And then I was convinced that the SWAT were going to come and kick the door down because of that. And I was in an apartment complex next to the rubbish chute. So every time somebody went to the rubbish chute, I was convinced that the SWAT were lined up at the door ready to kick the door in and take me to jail. And my dog would bark every single time. So I'm having a minor panic attack and I'm really freaking out. And then my dog would bark and it would set me off, and I'd get really angry because in my head, it's somebody kicking the door down, not the dog barking. So there was them. There was so many. A lot of going out drinking, thinking that I spiked people. I king hit people, hurt people, touched women again inappropriately. But it just attacks your core values and things that you would never actually do. And that's why you get so scared of it, because it's something that's so polar opposite to what you would do and what you believe in and your values, that it attacks that, because it goes against everything that you are.
Yeah.
So that's why it's always, like for me, it was the sexual stuff, because I wouldn't want to cheat on my partner. Like I loved her. I wouldn't want to make a girl feel uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to touch them inappropriately. I wouldn't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to kill someone. Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Did you ever, going through those moments, especially like with killing the homeless person, not killing the homeless person. Did you ever want to go and take yourself to the police station?
Yep. 100%. Yeah, I nearly dialed up the police station. A lot of nights after drinking, I wanted to call the nightclubs and see if I could watch the CCTV footage for the whole night. I nearly called Moosehead's nightclub in Canberra when I was like 19. I wanted to watch the whole CCTV footage, the whole thing. I wanted to go and sit in that office and watch it frame by frame. Yeah.
I mean, I
times.
I was an overthinker, but damn, that's like a whole new times a million, right? Yeah, I mean, the average person has what, 60, 70, 80,000 thoughts a day. You're sitting at easily a million.
Oh, I would assume it's like, even you made me think of one then where we were living in an apartment complex on level 8, and I was paranoid and convinced that I was going to sleepwalk and jump off the balcony and wake up a paraplegic. So I couldn't sleep for a while. And then I'd have to lock the door and put obstacles in the way. Just little things like that. Just little random ones that you would just be like, what? And I think back on them now and I'm like, what the hell?
I'm glad you think that, though, because it makes you realise how the length you've come to get to the point. Even though you still, there's a few things that you do think about at night, but it obviously seems quite a healthy thought process now. I'd say a lot better. With all of that, though, in those dark moments, were you ever suicidal? Were you ever wanting to take yourself to an institute? Were there any things that you drastically wanted to do to yourself to even try and help you? I mean, some people look at suicide as helping themselves, right? Did you ever go down those paths at all?
I did get obsessed over suicide, but not not suicidal. I was terrified that I was going to kill myself.
Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.